very scary from a GenG perspective, and Ruler's going to really be put to the test as we get onto the rift for game number 1 between GenG and Hanwha Life. Fans a little bit scattered on the Hanwha side, as you heard, as we have a look at this fireplace once again. Not occupied by any Zoes headbutting the camera, but that's because Zoe's occupying the bottom side river, as we're trying to get some added vision towards the red side jungle of GenG.
Getting level 1 vision advantage around a Xin Zhao is always a very happy thing. Scarring a blind, really risky. I'm still really not a fan of this in terms of priority junglers. Now, there was a lot banned, so you're in a kind of awkward spot champion pool-wise very often. And if you went blind Zac, you know, you wouldn't feel that much better about the interaction with Xin Zhao, right? It's a very old matchup that Xin Zhaos have been able to run, so the only issue here is it's something that is more of a lover, not a fighter, in the early game. We've seen some cool pathing with Predator junglers where you play around expectations and try to get a surprising gank timing.
Yeah, it's early as last series, actually, as Score was utilizing that.
Yep,
Tongue Lash lands on the key. Nice work there by Life.
Good call out to that. Genius Hunter, as you would expect with Predator junglers, to get that Predator cooldown down. Hail of Blades, we fighting hard on the side of the Xin Zhao. And the Predator. So Key is actually taking some inspiration from Kuzan, who is the only other Predator Predator Pike player I've actually seen in competitive play.
Kuzan takes a paddle star there. The only other thing of note here is the Conqueror on the the Aatrox. We've seen a lot of Electrocute being popular recently, but Conqueror for the first time is live. It's a pretty high-value war, but he might have overstepped. Has to flash very early, and that is a high-value flash coming out of the Tahm Kench.
Tahm Kench just not the same champion with flash down, and again, remember, this Tahm Kench has been nerfed so many times since even MSI Finals. If you remember, in the MSI Final, it was Core JJ flashing before the laning phase started and being returned to again and again. That was a time where you could devour flash. You can't do that anymore. The spit range on the devour is shorter. Like, this champion has been super duper attempt to be benched, and we saw it heavily prized in the drop. The payoff, especially with a flash down, definitely not going to be there in laning phase.
Well, you can see already a lot of these lanes getting pushed in. Tempt is able to push up on the Azir quite easily. Bottom side of the map, they were getting zoned away as the minion wave was in such a good position for Hanwha Life after that flash went down on Life.
Good news that CuVee is able to get a lot of minion wave control because Xin Zhao showed bot side, so no chance that there's going to be a gank top side. SoHwan gives up the wave, and Aatrox is strongest against GP early because it's able to harass, and GP doesn't have the answering damage. Definitely a lot of items where CuVee can kind of just go 50-50 in the lane and then blow his ult and make things happen elsewhere. So nice start there as the wave continued to group. No turret dive being threatened though, and Peanut is spotted on the bottom side.
Yeah, finally, shout out to Ruler here as being able to bully his way back into this lane. You see Sangyoon actually taking a lot of damage here from the Rend. It was a really nice pierce from Ruler to really give him that life advantage and allow him to really get some control. And yes, I know you just recognized the pun, Papa Smithy. Take that smirk off your face. It's going to happen a lot this series.
Hey, I still smirk when someone says doo-doo, right? Because it's just funny. He said doo-doo. You know, I'm 32 years old. Still damn hilarious.
Yeah,
so.
When someone said that one day I wouldn't laugh at fart jokes, they were wrong. It's just straight up wrong. Fart jokes are always funny, Papa Smithy.
If they were really in touch with themselves, they would, right? Because like you can be like, oh, no, I've never laughed at that. But come on, it's funny.
Yeah, this is the thing. You just got to admit to yourself that you would have a chuckle, but you do it on the inside because you're supposed to be an adult. That's how it works.
Are we supposed to be adults?
I don't know. I wear my heart on my sleeve, Papa Smithy.
You know that old adage of when I grow up, that I'm sure a lot of our Twitch chat kind of wonders, right? I imagine
I still wonder that.
And that's the thing, is like, that's the spoiler, is like, we're probably, you know, on average, what, 10 to 15 years older than people in Twitch chat? You're 31, I'm 32.
Yep.
You always wonder that. Even when you're 31, 32, you're still thinking about when you grow up. Even though technically, on many scales, you've grown up.
Yeah. I'll always be younger than my parents. That's the way
true.
I think about it.
That's true.
So, and I'm always a kid in their eyes, especially when I yell about video games for a living. Don't need to go into that one as this wave pushes towards the top side of the map, and CuVee gets shoved in.
Your lungs are also responding. You don't need to do any shouting. This has been
that is true.
Kind of slow and steady, which does suit GenG, who want to be scaling up. So we're kind of looking for Hanwha Life with their Xinjiao to do some game breaking in the early laning phase, and CuVee might have ultimate before any action befalls kind of anyone on the Rift.
And this is exactly the GenG style as well. I mean, you pick GP so that he can press his R button on the bottom lane and Ruler can start popping off. And Ruler is on a champion that can carry through the mid game. We talk about bridging champions a lot, and the Kalista in this composition certainly will work like that.
And yes, to some degree, but with Flash down on Life, you would have expected a couple more inroads. However, it's still a strong side of the map. And while Life say, okay, well, we're not finding the inroads onto the CS total, let's take down something. And Infernal Drake is definitely something.
Yeah, that feels fantastic, as Life is going to move over here. He's going to spot the fact that they are doing it. Control Ward comes in, and Blast Cone is just eaten by Key to make sure that no one can pop over.
Have you noticed a meta trend for week 3 of the LCK? The 5 to 6 minute Drake straight off spawn is like every game. This is very much the new average first Drake time. I believe what's happening is that the laner with priority is backing, so the enemy laner has to back, right? Because they're like, oh, I can't have an item disadvantage, and it's just around the time that Drake spawns, and it allows a support or a bot lane duo to go to Drake. And the reason why we should talk about this is, every time a trend like this happens, kind of every game in a row when a week starts, by the next week, the counter ganks, the control wards, the ways to counter that are going to be there. So the next levels on this haven't been felt yet because it's everyone's first time on the Rift in week number 3, but the trend is a very clear one.
Yeah, we'll see whether it is going to be answered. Could even be as early as next game, because like you say, it has been a trend that's happened for the last couple of days. Nina coming down, looking to grab his Krug camp as Key is just dancing in and out of the river. Just clearing out vision left, right, and center. Sangyoon has himself a Vampiric Scepter, decided to go past the boots in favor of a dagger just to give some more battle stats to the Lucian. But as we can see, it is still a CS advantage for Ruler here down on the bottom side. And you're right, they don't have control, but he is at least still farming out quite well as bonO finds himself a control ward. CuVee is going to be alive for the moment, despite missing that cannon creep, I believe.
Tempt has that pesky redemption from Zoe that is
always...
I
just assume that all Zoes just have it.
I agree. I think I saw 3 in a row once, and I kind of...
I got really tilted because I played a game of Zoe, didn't get 1 redemption. I'm like,
what
the hell? You only ever roll redemption on this champion. We're in Korea. Apparently not.
It's a happy skippy time for Tempt. He does get the blue buff steal, but Peanuts ahead of this kind of understands this top side was where bonO was going to be playing after bonO was already spotted on a top lane gank, so it should be a blue buff secured, and Kuzan will pick one up. So it does end up just being a trade overall, which is absolutely fine for the scaling comp. So for people at home who are wondering where this game is going, an early game that's quiet and a farm out is okay for Hanwha Life if early item Lucian, 1 item Zoe, they get advantages, they get turrets, they get a gold lead. If that doesn't happen, if we keep farming from there after those first big core items, that's where the team comp scaling will just overwhelm for GenG. So it's not panic stations for Hanwha Life, but it's not that far away from it.
Well, turret plate. This was a turret plate gank attempt here by bonO. Tempt was actually joining him there as well, trying to get some advantages. Top side of the map also, you were illustrating the fact that they do need to get Lucian and Zoe into a good position. Doesn't hurt to have a mid-game team fight ready Aatrox as well. To get to the point where he has that 30% CDR more than anything else. Good knock up there, but SoHwan's going to take a bullet and a turret shot to the back of the head, thus losing the trade.
Well, no concussion tests for the Legends to administer after hitting that.
I see you've been watching some AFL, Papa Smithy.
I have. I got to admit, it's kind of one of the things that has really come to the fore as I'm thinking about things in something like AFL that's obviously been there since I was young to now. Concussion's definitely a lot more of a talking point, and obviously talk about that in the NFL and stuff.
Yeah,
one of those
injuries,
sobering things. You do wonder if wrist injuries and things like that will be
I mean, Pawn is a perfect example, right?
That's
back injury.
The back injury there. Not quite as kind of operational as the wrist injuries would be for a game.
No, it's you're not talking about things like anterior cruciate ligament injury or something like that, like you would in
Now, we did have that
once.
Like that. We did have that once. The famous insect injury in 2015 spring.
Yeah. Well, Ruler might have an injury here towards the bottom side as the Bone Skewer gets flashed and misses. Wind becomes lightning, becomes air, is actually how that one works, and Hanwha Life will walk away and hope that the camera wasn't on them.
They got Bagel for that flash. It wasn't even a flash for Flash Atlas, and honestly, that was a very kind of medium to high risk, low reward scenario there. The best you're going to get is an answering flash, and you used your own flash proactively, so that was left a bit to be desired. We said enchanters for Key, but he went Pikes, so at least so far we're not Casticos.
And I'm definitely not enchanted just yet by how that one's
Are
going.
you not enchanted?
No, I am certainly not enchanted.
Whoa, you said my name very sensually.
Yeah, I was going for that one. I hope it played out well for you guys at home. As Tempt is going to clear out some of these minions in the mid lane. He's got a counterfeit heal, though, and therefore wins that trade quite handily. Just some Zoe things.
I feel like we haven't heard your Christopher Walken casting voice for a long time.
That was, I think, 3-4 years ago that I did a whole game as Christopher Walken.
We've been casting together a long time, Atlas. That wasn't even with me, but I was privy to it.
It was a good one. Oh my goodness. Some of those community casts were certainly a hell of a lot of fun.
You and I have come a long way since then. I know we both had our bad habits and things to work on. I had my personal distaste of your adjectivizing every single word in the game.
Blazed was probably one of the best lines that I've had, though, Papa Smith.
We had a game where the kill score was very clearly 420 and no one got ardently blazed, which I was... You even missed me talking about how lit it was, but never mind.
No, I just... It's a distasteful joke, right, Papa Smith? I need to... verbify words. I'm not about talking about 420 and things like that.
You're just too classy for that.
Yeah,
Atlas.
we're just not quite legalized in Australia yet, so I'm just not ready. Okay,
it's fair enough.
And it's certainly not legal here in Korea. So, no 420 talk. Don't want to risk it. 400 gold is the lead for Hanwha Life Esports. Not really worth talking about, which is why we're talking about things like our beginnings in the caster world. Probably more interesting than what's happening here in this game is just minion waves getting eliminated time and time again. We do have a slight item lead on the bottom side for Sangyoon, as is Blade of the Ruin King already. You mentioned the fact that they do want to be making moves around a strong Lucian, but he's just coming back from base with that item, and it is going to be a trade of neutral objectives across the map. Cloud Drake going to GenG, Hanwha Life will pick up Shelly, and you don't need to be a genius to know that Shelly's a little bit more worthwhile at this stage of the game.
Good news, I'm no genius, Atlas.
Yeah, you're pretty close.
I don't think GenG are showing to be a genius. You know, it doesn't take a genius on the GenG side to say, well, our comp actually scales well, so unlike some of the Pyke comps that we've seen recently where people thought they were forced to fight, fighting here is a bit more optional for GenG, and they're actually threatening.
There is definitely a cannon barrage at the ready as Life comes in, but there is the Impale. Key tries to get away, but you're not going to get deep enough to dive away from that one. That's First Blood going to Ruler, and that's a very bad feeling for Hanwha Life Esports.
There's no way out for Key sometimes. Life finds a way to hit you in the face. You go down for First Blood in this game. On the other side of the map, SoHwan's going to keep pushing. He's got a lot of turret plates, Atlas, so I don't know if he can finish this turret, but maybe with the TP he can.
I think he definitely can. He's got barrels on the ground, does CuVee, but he's going to evacuate. Sangyoon's going to turn up, and he wanted to use that teleport to get back to a lane. May as well be one that has some turret plates at the ready.
We're just cashing in on both sides here, so consider who's picking them up. Lucian involved with that first turret blood on the top side.
Remember that that's Shelly invested top side of the map, and they evenly trade when it comes to the turret plate. So it's just the kill gold on Shelly, really, that's in advantage for Hanwha.
I feel at this point, with how the game has gone, rather than a League of Legends analyst, we need like an accountant to audit the first 14 minutes to work out what happened here.
Can't you be a little bit of a League of Legends accountant? Look, I know you studied
to be clear,
psychology, but...
I went arts and commerce, so I did do a commerce minor, but I dropped the commerce minor after year one because I wanted to do more psychology. So,
right.
So that's a previous life. I'm leaving that in the past. I don't want to talk about my commerce past. It's not something I'm proud of.
I didn't study any of it because I thought it was boring. And that was without knowing anything. So I'm sorry, guys. I was young.
And here you are, 31 years later, still not knowing.
Yeah, still not knowing anything about commerce. It's a darn shame is what it is. Having a look at this replay, wasn't a heck of a lot to talk about apart from this moment here.
It's a nice counterpunch. Remember, GenG has sometimes been guilty of having something happen to them and not had the kind of globally disparate play on the other side of the map where they get an advantage. It's good play, they get the kill here. life involved, as we mentioned with us. Oh, so clever joke. Ruler himself gets to come mid lane, and now the lanes are disrupted a little bit, and Ruler gets to hop mad in the mid.
And he has been certainly hopping mad so far this series. His boots have been made for walking, Smithy, because dodging the gank on the bottom side and then dodging beautifully both Paddle Star and, of course, the Trouble Bubble.
I have a request. Next time we talk about the boots made for walking, I need you to say that as Christopher Walken.
I feel like my Christopher Walken accent's a bit rusty. I'm just, I'm scared. We're going to have a look at it one more time. I thought that was a replay, but this time Tempt might die. Nope. He's going to come in. The water dive is going to be there.
Maybe two autos. Right. Two autos, Ren. Probably the kill there, so that was a close one there. Close shape for sure. That loses out on a bit of priority around this river, which means
Peanut's booking it. Key has to pop his own Predator to try and get out of there. Lucky he had the travel time to get, the channel time there in order to get the movement speed. Peanut is still going real fast. SoHwan's still pushing on the top side of the map, but CuVee happy to pick up minion waves underneath this inner turret that hasn't taken any real damage. That's exactly where a GP wants to be at 16 minutes into the game, safely farming towards Trinity Force underneath this turret.
And what did GenG want? They want to have Aatrox in the lane against the GP, and then GP's got a global. Aatrox does not. So, right now the game state really does suit GenG, and we talked about how kind of the one-item, two-item spikes would be where Hanwha Life could potentially find some big inroads. We're definitely looking at one of those with specifically Tempt having some defensive utilities, Ludens, and more. That's a lot around bringing people to your lane in the mid and sieging, hitting a trouble bubble onto Ruler, forcing out the Devourer, and then getting more. There's also some kind of equal item scenarios where, especially with the vision lead, Skarner rolls in and doesn't matter what items you have, you're suppressed. If Azir gets the right engage, things can happen here. And this is the phase where Hanwha Life need to double down and find some accountability, or force some accountability out of GenG, because their scaling is almost online.
Well, Peanut's looking for an ultimate. He does tag Key there, but not going to find too much more as Tempt, has to flash to get himself out of the way. Doesn't have Cleanse, and of course wouldn't have helped him against the Impale out of Peanut. That is a big cooldown now for the Zoe, who can be very gankable despite the portal jump being a lot of displacement. You're always going back to where you left.
The river control leaving Hanwha Life Esports in this important point where they need to find things is why they're losing more and more summoners on their side. So it's almost kind of undeniable that GenG is provoking more questions of Hanwha Life than vice versa. Ruler skips into the mid lane, pushes in another wave. Cloud Drake on the Rift, not the highest value.
I don't know, Peanut's probably going to tell you that it's super high value. He wants to be booking it around this map as the little Scorpion. But that was a little bit facetious there, Papa Smithy. I think you're right. 2 Clown Drakes in a row, as LS would say, and a third one on the menu. As GenG kind of wished that they had have started that early pressure, but not with this composition. Hanwha Life are going to get the only high-value Drake so far on this map.
I don't mind being glass half full on Cloud this game purely because you have 2 champions where mobility
works
into target acquisition works well. Skarner's the obvious one, right? Because he has to waddle in and ult someone. But even Azir having a movement speed difference means flash for flash, you will always get the scoop back on your Azir sec play. So
also Kalista is going to jump further with extra movement speed, so a little bit of a unique interaction with movement speed coming out there. So
we always want to queue up and poo-poo the Drakes when they really don't fit, but I think in this game, potentially, could be relevant. I said it. I didn't say doo-doo though, I would never do that.
Oh, I'd never do that?
No, I do. I was trying to say doo-doo with not doing, but that's not possible.
You can't do doing that. I don't,
Well, sometimes you just have alerts where your brain's like, no, that's not acceptable.
Yep, no, please, please. We're not 12. We're not 12 anymore. Bone Skewer is going to try and grab a Sentinel, but that's not how that one works. Not going to be able to pull that one over the wall. As our Ruler comfortably underneath this turret, he's going to be able to clear out some minions. And the blue buff, I believe, went pretty easily over to Kuzan as well. So it's all just slow and steady, but GenG are the ones that are reaping the rewards. 2,000 gold is the lead. And when GenG are the team that doesn't have to be proactive, that's when you feel good about a GenG win.
But while we give a lot of respect to GenG for scaling, and I think for good reason, we should mention still, Aatrox Pike, it's not around the teamfight wombo. Like, there's no Karth Assault plus more. If you have a lot of AoE with these 2 champions, undeniably, they're going to get some sort of pick eventually.
Yeah.
But there's still pick potential, right? There's still potential on the side of Hanwha Life, even if the other picks aren't necessarily as complementary. So we're not at the top of the table. We're closer to the bottom here, so there's always the chance GenG make the wrong face check, GenG get picked, and then from there, the cleanup could be real for Key and SoHwan.
Well, Trouble Bubble not going to find Ruler. He did take a big paddle star to the face, but now that he has his 2 items that he really, really loves in the Hurricane and the Blade of the Ruin King, all of that lifesteal is available. Only going to get worse from here as the Bloodthirster is likely to be a part of this build coming up. See whether he's going to go for something like a QSS before that, just to make sure that he can't get Trouble Bubbled out of nowhere.
To be clear, QSS tax has been paid by Tempt.
Yep.
Not available on other members. Aatrox the person you want to ult the most because you can just kill him during the suppression.
Yeah, make sure that his ultimate isn't even a button that's worth anything. I understand that completely. Peanut going to pretty comfortably grab the Rift Scuttler here as GenG find themselves with a heck of a lot of control. Baron has spawned 40 seconds ago.
Really nice ward, spotting out a lot of Peanut's posturing though, so that's not going to find anymore. Baron speed, pretty damn fast on the side of GenG with good secure as well. That turn decent, so if GenG control the pit again and again and keep testing it, I think Hanwha Life, apart from Zoe being able to launch poke over the wall, they don't actually have a great team to respond to Baron, even from the red side, which is usually favorite terrain for Baron defense. So keep your eyes on Zoe. If she's in full vision, GenG should just keep testing the Baron again and again when there's a few more minutes in the game and that becomes more realistic.
Yeah, I really do like the macro positioning here from GenG, but now my turn. Teleport coming in. Kuzan's going to shift some sands. Cannon Barrage used defensively now as there's the Emperor's Divide. It is a very dead Skarner, but that might be all they can find as the Pike is going to get picked up in response. CuVee just wants to kill the Xin Zhao as well. Double kill now for the Gangplank as in goes Kuzan. The Sand Soldiers not quite able to catch up to Tempt, but now they are. The Conquering Sands are in. SoHwan looking for more, but not going to find it. GenG trade up in a gank attempt that Hanwha Life started.
GenG, no doubt, saying sucked in. We forced you to come to our terrain, and barrels and cannon barrages slow them down. Azir and Kalista coming in to clean them up as well. Peanut's sacrifice was a noble one. Hanwha Life pick up a kill, but no more than that.
I believe he had a stopwatch available. We're going to see it one more time as Peanut was just the sacrificial lamb here towards the top side. Good dodge of the bonus score.
And it's quite a lot of flashes to eventually get him because it was an extension of the E flash in there that caused a lot. And then CuVee, who's been very quietly farming up a storm, comes in. And this pirate is definitely one that's going to be with a very high bounty, both in lore and in this game. Nice cleanup there on some kills. Hanwha Life lose an objective around what just seemed like the most clear 1-for-0. We talked about GenG's team fighting. We've already got a taste of it.
Yeah, Bubble flying over the wall, but isn't going to find anyone. Predator on the heads of the Hanwha Life Esports members. So going to be on cooldown for a little while here on Peanut's side. But Ruler, he just wants to take Tempt down. Key finds the Bone Skewer. Still some Ren stacks in there as there's the Flash Emperor's Divide. Tempt is going to go down. Sangyoon follows immediately. The Impale wasn't even used, and that's going to spell 3 kills for GenG, and most likely a Baron. They've got Rend to secure it, and so much Baron damage with the Kalista Azir.
And it doesn't seem like GenG need any coffee after they wake up today. The moment they're ready to go, they're just blowing people up. Kuzan with a huge Emperor's Divide. On the backline, Tempt used his QSS early. His demise was trivial.
Yep, was imminent, Papa Smithy, and GenG, they have the scaling composition. It's 23.5 damn minutes in this game. Have they already scaled? Because it looks like they have.
I can't disagree at all. Atlas, big plays there. Peanut on the back end, but he's very tanky. Notice his stone plate is complete, and he's holding on to his stopwatch as well. This game has gone really into a new era, and the ability for GenG to wait when they needed to wait and then inflict a 6,000 gold lead. It's just not GenG at all.
Yeah, not what we're expecting, but I mean, the stats didn't lie. We thought that they might be a little bit weird given the early stage of the season. However, GenG do have the shortest game time, and it's a stat that we just weren't ready for. Might have to start getting ready now.
It's all Ruler. Ruler forces QSS early, and then Tempt's like, guys, I need help. There's nothing I can do. And watch Kuzan's engage here. Even Flash, but fast enough. Who knows if the Cloud Drake was big there. Rylai's, he has a stopwatch. He's tanky. And his damage, along with his team, you can see Ruler's high.
Yeah, Ruler's just playing out his mind today as well. It feels like GenG are well and truly in sync. This is what the GenG fans have wanted, and they are out in force tonight.
And doesn't the team have a nice timbre to their nice...
Oh, yeah.
Very nicely done there.
I like the timbre to your timbre as well, Pop Smith.
Peanut was in Twitch chat earlier in our first series, I believe, greeting the English fans. He's been very good about that recently. Show that right now, they're saluting GenG because they're playing very, very well. Baron buff already claimed, as you would imagine. They push in. Can Hanwha do anything?
Well, they're not pushing 3 lanes thus far, but they're pushing 2 pretty hard as SoHwan has already popped the ultimate. Emperor's Divide, though, just puts Hanwha in a neat little box. bonO trying to get out of the way. The Impale is used, like you say, on the Aatrox. No more engage. Possible trouble bubble is going to land onto Life, but he straight up does not care about it. And CuVee goes back underneath this turret to take it down.
Target selection perfect. The good luck charm of the Skarner in this game. They're going to break inner lines nice and early. They're only playing 2 lanes. That's because they want 2 inhibitors right now.
Yeah, they should be able to get them here as well. Shouldn't be much of an opportunity with SoHwan dead for another 20 seconds. The inhibitor turret is going to go down. Ruler at full health as the trouble bubble lands. bonO in a really rough spot. Gets the knock up, but now has to go golden. Life is frontlining. Ruler grabs that kill. Key tries to get death from below, but it's not even death. It's Life, guys, and he is licking everyone to death right now. Sangyoon not going to be able to get that kill back because the Devourer is in. Life is helping his AD carry, as he has done so beautifully so far this season, and GenG are continuing to push.
They're ravenous. They want to keep going. They're not waiting for respawns. They don't care about Peanut. They just want the win right now.
Yeah, SoHwan respawns, and he's like, I'm ready to defend the base, but he's not. The rest of his team has died. Nexus Turret 1 is going to go down as an afterthought. Tempt is trying to get Paddle Stars in here, but they're doing nothing against the Baroned up minions. Second Nexus Turret dead. The other inhibitor didn't fall down. Bottom lane inhib is still there. Bone Skewer not going to land, but even if it did, would you actually be scared, given how far ahead GenG are with an 11,000 gold lead?
They're doing a great Kingzone Griffin impression from our earlier series today. GenG styling, and we saw the Olaf Karma, and they just couldn't execute an early game comp. Like, I don't know about this. They're making a scaling comp look like an early game comp. GenG are dead. Long live GenG is kind of what you're feeling right now. They get in there, and they're always looking for more, and Ruler's just raw aggression here. He doesn't need to make these plays, but he knows he can, so he just keeps going forward.
And he just keeps tabs on Life's Devour cooldown. Life says, I have it up. Had to flash for it, of course. So might have some words with Ruler at the end, but as soon as that W is available, Ruler can do that, and he can do that relatively safely.
And now, we've said it twice already today, these are some nice GenG wallets. They're a cashed up orb. They're buying real nice stuff right now. Louis Vuitton with this Skarner coming in, and there's no Nexus turret, guys.
Yeah, and you know how much that Nexus is worth? 50 gold, guys, and I have a feeling that GenG might have that money. Emperor's Divide's huge to start off the fight. As bonO has the ultimate, it's trying to keep him alive, but it's just not working. Key's death from below doesn't work either. He goes down basically instantly. SoHwan will be inside the blood well, but you can see Ruler, he just wants to get the free kill on the mid laner, and now it's a Nexus in his sides. Ruler does find Life with the Fate's Goal, and SoHwan, to his credit, gets out of the way of the knockup, but he's not going to get out of the way of the end of the game. And Abyssal Voyage just for fun, as Life will lick this Nexus to death, and GenG with a very swift first game win.
They were scaling till they weren't, Atlas. We were